Okay, I wanted to start with some basic information and background about Anderson County. I get a lot of questions and comments from new citizens and even people who've been here a long time about how some basic stuff works. So let's start with a little history. How and when did the county government arrive at the current council administrator form of government?
A long time ago, the county was run with what you call a supply bill. And what you had was a supervisor and in essence road commissioners. And they were only, the road commissioners were only responsible for roads. That's why we have so many roads, because if you want to get reelected, you pave roads. And then Anderson County operated under the council supervisor form of government for a long time. And then some members of council said we need to change to the council administrator form of government. The supervisor council form of government, supervisor handled the day-to-day operations and did that, but you still had a council. Now, when they changed to the council administrator, under that form of government, the 7 members of county council decide who is going to be the administrator and the clerk to council. Those are the 2 positions that the county council by law appoints.
And the supervisor was elected before, so you could
The supervisor was elected by all of the people.
And so most counties now have administrator form of government, right? In South Carolina?
They either have administrative form of government or they have a council manager form of government, or there's still a few that have council supervisor.
And how was the number of council members determined when it kicked in after home rule?
Well, they had 5. And so they just picked 5, and then due to the increase in population, they went to 7. I mean, you take Greenville County, they have 12.
Right.
So, but 7's a good number.
So we talked about the number was definitive. Would it take much to change that if we ever did get bigger?
It has to be done by referendum. I mean, the people have to decide. People just can't say, well, let's have 52 council members. No.
And governmentally, what can the county council do and what can it not do? Because people are always getting confused. Why don't y'all do this, but that's a state thing? I know you can't tell everything because it's much too complicated. But basically, what things is county government responsible for?
Well, the county government is responsible for just about all the property in the county. I mean, they own the library property, they own the courthouse, they own mental health building, DSS building, all of those buildings they own, they have to maintain. But that's mandated by the state that you have to provide space for these organizations. And the county gets something called aid to local subdivisions every year, and it's supposed to take care of all of those expenses. And so that's how that operates right there. But what can council do? They have responsibility for county roads, but they don't have responsibility for state roads. They don't have responsibility for the roads inside the cities. Does the county council work very well with the cities to make sure that their roads are taken care of? Yes, we do. Is it a mandate? No, but it's just good government doing what's right, because we're blessed with a number of cities and towns.
And does the state fund everything y'all have to cover, or does the county have to help cover some of that too?
Oh, we have to cover a whole lot of it. A whole lot of it.
It's mandated, but you still have to cover it.
It's mandated, and you have to do it.
And what about county council salaries? I know we still have the lowest salary by far of any county over 50,000 citizens. You mentioned Greenville has 12 members and they get $29,000. Spartanburg's 7 members gets $12,500. How is the salary determined? What would make it change?
A county council can vote for a salary increase for the next council. They cannot vote themselves a raise during that term, but they can vote for the next council to get a raise. Our county council members are the lowest, if not the lowest paid, they're certainly right there in the bottom 3 on the amount that they get paid. I think it comes out to around $200 a month that they get.
Even some of the tiny counties with less than 20,000 people get paid more than our council.
Oh, absolutely they do.
And that's just been stuck there for a long time, right?
It's been stuck, and most of the members of our council aren't in it for the money. They are in it for public service.
So the delegation doesn't have anything to do with that? Delegation couldn't raise their salary?
No, not a bit.
Okay, well, reminding people what the Anderson County Legislative Delegation does and what they're responsible for and how the county works with them.
Well, they're responsible for setting the laws in Columbia that affect people across the state. That's what they do. They also have some local authority on appointing certain boards and commission members. Magistrates, they are appointed by the delegation with the approval of the governor, which is about 95%. So they do that. I mean, you know, we have the courthouse, the new 32-year-old courthouse. We fund that, we maintain it, we take care of it, but as soon as that door opens, that becomes the domain of the clerk of court. Complete jurisdiction about what goes on in that building. So, I mean, it's not straight line, it's not clear, and it's really like, let's just make this government up as we go along and we'll figure out how it does. But we've always managed to make it work. But it's because we have really good relations with our delegation, which we're very proud of because a lot of counties don't. As a matter of fact, they hate each other's guts. And so we're blessed to have that. And so we have good relations with the Department of Transportation. So we try to get along with everybody so that they'll get along with us so we can get stuff.
And y'all, like I said, y'all work closely with them in economic development as well, right?
Absolutely. I mean, when we were working on First Quality, then Chairman of Budget Control Board, Dan Cooper, was there. And he was right there from the start and helped us all the way through because we couldn't have done it without him being there. TTI, the same thing. Brian White was Chairman of the Budget and Control Board. And without his help, we wouldn't have been successful doing that. So having your legislators in the game with you, working with you for the same common goal, it's invaluable because we can go down there and they say, you know, we really like y'all, y'all are nice guys. But it's better when you have somebody going down there who sets the state bureaucrat's salary and has dominion over them. And so it's been very helpful to us.
Well, you and I have been around a long time watching this happen. I was thinking the other day, in the county of Anderson right now, if you look at the townships and the city and the council, this may be overall the most cooperative group I can ever remember in terms of people wanting to work together. Am I correct in that assumption?
I think it's better than it's ever been in my long history of being here. It's almost hand in glove in a lot of ways. Like, I mean, take Senator Cash helping us with Kid Venture, $750,000. Nice, wonderful help. Senator Gambrell helping us on the Piedmont Park and all of the other money that they come in. They're putting money in projects that the county's doing. So they're doing community projects to help Anderson County. They don't have to do that. They have to go down there and fight for us to get these monies. So we're appreciative of it because it helps us. Tremendously it helps us.
And I know the mayors see the county as a resource. Y'all work very closely with the mayors,
We work
councils, town
we
councils.
work very closely with all of the mayors, and we'll always work very closely with the mayors. That wasn't always the case.
Right.
And what's good for a town is good for the county because the towns are in the county. So it doesn't make any sense to have an adversarial relationship. I mean, it's hand in glove.
And then there's the Anderson County Transportation Committee. Some people get confused how that works. Remind people how that works.
They get money from the state, okay? They have members on the Anderson County Transportation Committee. Those members are appointed by the delegation. They appoint those members. Now, we serve as the staff and the eyes and the ears and the implementers of the monies that they allocate. You know, like at the last council meeting, we allocated, the delegation, the Anderson County Council, allocated all of this money to do a whole lot of road work. And we can do that because we know the roads that need to be fixed. They know the roads that need to be fixed. So it works well.
And they keep using the word C funds. Tell people what C funds is because they talk about that's what they get.
C funds is an outdated term that I still use and everybody else uses. But that was money that was to go on county roads. And they called it C funds and they sent it back to the county to do things with, to do road work with, primarily only road work to do with. But now that it's another name, but everybody still calls it C funds.
And you mentioned the council did just approve about, what was it, 3 million or more than that?
About 3 million off the top of my head,
And
yes.
there were a number of roads that are under work, and you approved those bids that are under work now.
Yep.
What was the last figure you saw annually it would take to fix all the roads and bridges and keep them up to date in Anderson County? My figure I always hear is 1,534 miles. I think I'm close there.
Oh, you're right. I think you're dead on it. I mean, you're going to have a substantial amount of money. Some roads are in fairly good shape. Some of them are almost just gone away. I mean, if the county, if the citizens of the county decided to vote in a penny sales tax for gas, that for roads, we estimate on the first year it would bring in around $50 million. And if the council decided, and which I think they have, is they would run it for only 7 years. And that would be part of the referendum, that at the end of 7 years, this goes off. And no, it wouldn't be one of those things that everybody says, well, once they put a tax on, they'll never take it off. Well, by law, at the end of that 7 years, it's done. Then the citizens would have to vote to do it again if they saw that it worked out well. But if you had $50 million a year for 7 years, you could take care of pretty much every road in this county and get it in good shape.
And when will, I know the county's working on it, when will the educational materials be ready on all that, the referendum idea and everything?
Well, we are still waiting on our road study because of the bad weather that's held us
I was
up.
going to ask you, what's held that up, that company?
Bad weather, and they've added another vehicle, so we're probably still 30 days out before we can incorporate that data into the ordinance that council will have to pass.
And
then council will not be able to advocate for that. It will go on the ballot, general election, not a special election, and people will decide, do they want to do this for 7 years, or do they not want to do it for 7 years?
that's a little confusing. Council can't campaign for it or
No.
anything? Okay,
Nope. That is in the law.
okay. That, and the referendum is really the only way to come up with enough money to do what, because I know we talked about before, millage is not going to be enough.
You don't want to put to do anything. You'd put 10 mills on property. That's not right. Do the gas tax. The gas tax, a lot of other people will help pay for it. And if you put a vehicle tax on, council doesn't like that idea either, putting a tax on vehicles, and it wouldn't raise very much money to do any good. I mean, you're in a situation now where you need a massive influx of money to fix this problem and to get the roads in the shape they should be.
And when this company finishes this study of every mile of road in the county, then you'll evaluate based on condition and priority of the road, is that right?
Absolutely, absolutely. None of this, well, we're going to fix Bubba's road down the street because he's a good guy. It will based on this study, scientific study, and this is not hoodoo stuff. This is like real serious stuff.
And Roads and Bridges is under Public Works, which was recently honored as one of the top in the country, right? They're certified.
Matt Hogan, our Roads and Bridges manager, was selected as the Gentleman of the Year in his field for the entire state of South Carolina. And we're very proud of him, and it is well-deserved honor that he received.
And they got a national certification earlier this year, right? That's
Yeah, but we've
one of the
had-
only ones in South Carolina, is
But
it?
we've had that national certification. They set a standard for us to meet, and we meet that. And we've met it for several years now. And they come in and make sure you're doing what you're supposed to do to achieve that accreditation. So we're real proud of everybody in our Public Works Department and in every facet that we have, because they do a remarkable job.
And like I said, we're one of the few counties in South Carolina that has that certification.
Absolutely we are.
Public Works also includes parks and recreation and public buildings, sanitation, utilities. That's broad territory, and I don't think the average citizen realizes that that's a never-ending list of services, right?
No, we have the best solid waste department probably in the United States of America. Greg Smith runs that department. He is on the cutting edge of everything known to mankind in that field. We don't operate the landfill, but we carry everything to the landfill. We operate a C&D landfill. We have places for you to take your garbage all across the county. We have recycling centers all across the county. We also have litter officers who write tickets to people who litter in that. And we also have a huge educational component, because we believe if we educate the children in school, we will have less litter in the future. We cooperate with the schools on recycling projects and things like that. So we try to do everything that we can to lessen the amount of material that goes in a landfill and to make money off those recyclables, which we do.
And another department that kind of works behind the scenes until they don't is emergency management. I noticed Josh Hawkins, his folks were recently out with the storm and trees cutting down and all that stuff going on.
But see, that's, I'm glad you asked that question, because yes, we have emergency management. Josh Hawkins leads that, and he does probably the best job that anybody in the country does. But what people don't realize when that happens, when we have a storm, We operate a full sewer system, okay? And when all of that water gets up and those trees break, we have pump stations that go down. We have situations where things are underwater. So our sewer department is out during those storms. And you will also notice that roads and bridges is out during all of those storms. And also you have increased pressure on law enforcement. So you think it's just emergency management doing that. It's not. When that happens, it's roads and bridges, it's our sewer department, and everybody else is all hands on deck when that happens. I think in the last incident we had 200 trees down. We got them up just like that because we have crews on standby. On a day like today, it doesn't look like it's going to rain, but we have crews on standby. When they get that call, they go, because you never can tell when a random tree is going to fall across the yard. But good organization. But all of our departments work well together. They all like each other. They all support each other. So it's just a great situation.
And the demands on these departments is growing because the population is accelerating its growth. It looks like
it grows every day, but they manage to do a good. They don't manage just to do the work. They manage to do a very good job in a good way. Walking in here just a few minutes ago, had somebody praising the people at Solid Waste. That's twice in 2 days. They helped me get these tires. I couldn't move them out of the way. They're so nice at these recycling stations and garbage stations. They go out of their way to make you feel welcome. Well, that's why Greg Smith calls them ambassadors. Sometimes that's the only county employee you're going to see is the guy at one of those centers. And he stresses that, everybody, and I've said this 1,000 times, everybody wandering around Anderson County pays our salary, and we want to be nice and respectful to them.
they just upgraded a couple of the emergency recycling centers.
Yes, it's a constant process to make sure that we're on the cutting edge.
One other thing before we leave emergency management, they do have the new emergency boat on Hartwell Lake. What's the latest on that boat? And they come up with a name for it yet?
Well, next Friday at 10 o'clock, we're going to have the unveiling. And it is an EMS boat. It is a fire boat. It is a rescue boat. And it is a law enforcement boat. And it was custom designed for Anderson County, our first one. We're hoping to get a grant to get another one. And it is equipped with a fire gun that can shoot water a long ways to help with fires on boats, but we can also take that up to a house and connect a hose, which we're going to get 2 hoses, and local fire departments can use that water because it's sitting in the water, and we can pump water all day long to help people put out fires. So we're happy about that. It's also a dive boat, and it's designed for that, and it's designed to get where it needs to go quickly. So we're very excited about that. And next Friday at 10 o'clock, anybody that would like to see it, come out to Green Pond, and we'll be providing a little tour and unveiling that. And with all of the growth on Lake Hartwell, with all the traffic on Lake Hartwell, it's needed. And I will tell you that this is the finest boat of its type in South Carolina. It's 28 feet long, and it is custom designed to do what it does. We have a gate that lowers down in the front so the divers won't have trouble getting in and out. You wouldn't believe sometimes we have a lot of docks that get cut loose during a storm. You're talking about a storm, docks get cut loose, and sometimes people just cut docks loose because they don't want them anymore. But they're hazards, and if you're boating at night, you could easily die. So, we have winches to pull that out, all kinds of different things on that boat.
How about naming the boat? There was some talk about naming that boat.
Well, it hasn't been named yet, but everybody just calls it the USS Shaggy, but that's not the official name. And Shaggy is Josh Hawkins, who is our emergency manager.
Who's been doing it since he was a kid and looked like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo.
Yes, that's how he got his name.
Back to more recent news. On Tuesday, Council approved the first of 2 projects using opioid settlement funds in Anderson County. Tell me what those 2 projects are and why they were the first chosen.
Well, we're very excited about that. The first one is, our Criminal Justice Coordinating Committee. We're building a new jail. We're very excited about that. But as I've stated from the beginning, it's not just a jail. It's not an old-time holding pen. So David Baker, the head man at the jail, sat down with us. What can we do to keep people from coming back? We have this opioid money, what we can do. Well, when you open that door and you throw somebody out, they may just circle around, go rob something, and come right back in. But what we're going to do is we're going to increase the amount of psychiatric care that we have in the jail. We're going to increase the services, the medical services they can receive there, to try to get people to quit coming back. That's where it's going to start there. Also help them find a job and find a place to live, almost like a transition officer. The other part of that is we're going to work with two organizations here in the county, one for men and one for women, so that they can receive a scholarship to go to these rehabilitation centers. These two operations have been in Anderson County. Shalom has been here forever and a day and doing a remarkable job. And so that's for the women. We have the other one for the men.
Just the bridge recovery?
Yeah, the Bridge Center, and we will be able to pay for a person to go through that and complete that course and hopefully get on a better track in life. And so we're really happy about that. We're also working for something else on that. That's going to involve the coroner's office and more public education. I mean, the number of people dying from fentanyl and the number of people who have opioid addictions is through the roof. And so we're going to try to hit it from 15 different angles, rather than just sitting here and say, we got a bunch of money, let's just throw it up in the air and give it to anybody who wants to. And with all of these programs, we want measured results. We don't want to do this, here's some money for your organization, and now your executive director gets a raise. Not doing that. We're going to put the money where it does the most good.
And so that's the next initiative, education. Lack of adequate housing continues to be a problem. I know we're growing, and I know council's partnered with a few different groups. We Rebuild Upstate and aim to repair existing houses.
Yes.
Any other housing initiatives in the work?
Oh, we're looking at several other initiatives. Those two, there's a meeting next week on Rebuild Upstate. Traditionally, it's been held in Greenville, but now because of the investment that we're putting in it, it's going to be held in Anderson. I think we have about 4 projects that are getting underway on that. And we have several other initiatives that we're looking at and working with. And we're also trying to encourage private developers to make affordable housing part of their package. And if we can do that, there might be some incentive in there for them to do that. So that's what we're doing on that, because there is a shortage.
And the prices are reflecting that in places you wouldn't believe. Yeah.
Yes.
The county's also been working with Meals on Wheels and Appalachian Council of Governments for a while on these senior citizens. There's a new one in West Pelzer and a newly renovated one in Honey Path, plus the one in Iva. How did that come to be? Because I know Appalachian Council and Meals on Wheels, but the county was involved in that pretty early, right?
Meals on Wheels and COG are absolutely in charge of that now, but I always like to think that we helped birth that baby at the beginning, and we're over the moon that they're going to have that new center in Honey Path and the one in Iva and the one over in Pelzer. We just think that's wonderful. Not only is it a place where people can eat, but senior citizens can socialize and have activities and things like that. And so that's a baby that was born, and it's now with its parents.
Voters in Fork Number 2 Precinct near Townville approved zoning for their area. When will County Council give third reading on that, and what's the next move, and what does that mean for that community?
Well, they've approved zoning, but now they have approved the idea of zoning and somewhat of a map. But now you get to the nitty-gritty to actually do the real map. And that involves getting with all of the property owners and talking to them before you have that map, before council votes on that.
So that's why it hadn't been voted on yet.
Correct.
How long does something like that take? Is that a long?
It could take.
That's a small precinct.
Yeah, but it could take 6 months.
You anticipate other groups maybe doing that now that they've seen it at work, or?
You know, I don't know, but we haven't had one in a long time. But sometimes it might spark another one. It seemed, but it'd been probably 10 years since we'd had one before. They had an effort in Powdersville, but they didn't get enough signatures to put it on the ballot. So I don't know where that is.
Chalk County Tech is planning to move their automotive division to the Anderson campus. Already got the pole worker, not poll workers, the linemen working on the poles there, and the truck stuff. Some other stuff's probably moving here. The new healthcare initiative at the Richard Campbell Nursing Home. How important are those partnerships, bringing those into Anderson with Tech?
Well, we have a very, very close relationship with Tri-County Tech, and we partner with them on many, many different things. They're a vital part of economic development because they provide the training. You mentioned their new automotive school. We're very interested in that, and the reason we're interested in that, we hope to offer apprenticeships at our shop for people going to that school They're going to have a heavy concentration on diesel mechanics, which is a huge shortage of, and I think that the head of our fleet services is going to be an adjunct professor there because he's a genius, Mr. Stone. And so it's going to be a wonderful relationship. It's going to help those students, it's going to help us, and it's going to provide opportunities for people to get jobs. I mean, automobile mechanics, $100,000 a year, $120,000 a year. You're well paid for what you do, and we're very excited that that's going to be right over there, very close to our shop and part of the Tri-County Tech campus. So it's a big win for all of us.
And AIT working to them. Also, they're talking about hydrogen fuel cell possibly working with the new initiative.
And we're excited about that, and hopefully that's going to flower.
You mentioned Green Pond earlier. It hosted its largest tournament to date in terms of boats on the water. What, more than 400 boats, high school anglers all over North America. Have you heard anything yet about the economic impact or just the impact of that tournament on Anderson County?
I've seen national publications that put it at $2 million, some at $3 million.
There were a lot of people here.
There are a lot of people here, so we're excited about that. But I mean, let's look at the economic impact of Anderson University today, where we are today. You can't get in a restaurant. Kids are back in school. That's a big part of Anderson County right there, Anderson University.
And they've got a new engineering dean, and that program, when it gets up and running, that's going to provide a lot of engineers that we need here desperately.
And our emergency service personnel, they have already had meetings with Anderson University personnel on how to handle football games. So, I mean, that's getting closer too.
Yeah, we're about 1 year out right now.
1 year out.
Any new facilities or improvements planned at Green Pond in the months ahead?
Right now, we're just trying to get all the electrical in. That's the biggest thing that we need to do now, but we always have plans as we find grant money to do that with. But they're working on the RV place right next door. I was there this morning, so that's underway. And there's some other development, but there's a big demand for what's at Green Pond. I mean, I had to go there this morning, and I mean, there are people all over it. There's no tournament going on today, but they were all out there using it, so that's wonderful.
And Kid Venture, the new Kid Venture just got through almost its first full summer. What kind of feedback have you gotten, and do we have any numbers on how much it's being used?
I don't have any official numbers, but I can tell you I go by there on a regular basis, and it's always slammed. And Labor Day weekend's going to be the last weekend it's been going to be open. It's only open on weekends now because everybody went back to school. But it's been a great success, and as soon as we receive the money from the state, we're going to spend additional money to Kid Venture to make it better.
What does that next stage look like?
It's going to be more playground equipment and things like that. And we are in the process working with the Anderson County Library and our Parks and Recreation Department to put storyboards out there, which we will have the groundbreaking on. So that's going to be another thing you can do at Kid Venture, but it's also going to go around Chris Taylor Park and have a nature theme so people will be able to enjoy that. And it will be changed out periodically, so it won't be the same story every time. So it's just another feature that we're glad to have and glad for the partnership.
And while we're out at the Civic Center, how would you evaluate the Darius Rucker charity concert? It looked like a pretty good turnout.
Oh, I think it was great. It was absolutely great. I think everybody enjoyed it. Even though the weather was bad, we still probably had 6,000 to 7,000 people there. And I think people got their appetites stimulated. We've got Celebrate Anderson coming up, which is going to be very big this year because we're working with the Cancer Association of Anderson County. And so
First time we've expanded it back to multiple days.
Yes.
Since Freedom Weekend, I guess.
Yes, so it'll be a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and a little bit on Monday event. So we're expecting a lot of people to come out to see Martina McBride. We're expecting people to come out to see, because there's going to be a band there Friday night. There's going to be a band there Saturday night. And there are going to be food trucks galore, and there are going to be crafts there, and people can go take a balloon ride, and they can do all kind of things to support the Cancer Association of Anderson County, which, by the way, is only focused on people in Anderson County and provide help and assistance and emotional assistance during those times when people have cancer. So we're proud to sponsor with them. We're proud to see the balloons coming back, and we're proud to see the whole weekend filled up, and we want everybody to come. The concert, Martina McBride's free. The other two concerts are free, and I think it's going to be really, really well. A lot of people putting a lot of time and hard work in it.
I was going to say, I noticed a lot of hard workers these last concerts. This is the first Celebrate Anderson with the new stage, too.
Yes, it absolutely is. The new stage performed wonderfully well for Darius Rucker, and it's going to perform well for that. And then right after that, you have pit bulls, so we're going to bang, 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 and then we're trying to line up a very strong spring schedule, and so we're in the process of doing that right now. So
No other names you can talk about yet?
no other names you can talk about right this second.
Other than a few new jobs at the organic solely place, seems like it's been quiet on the economic development front this summer. Any economic development news on the horizon?
I can tell you we will be soon adding another foreign flag to our family of
18 countries, 51 companies, is that?
yes, and we'll be adding a flag that we currently don't have, so we're real excited about
19 countries
that.
then.
Yes, and it will be European based, so we're excited about that, and that'll be coming along here pretty quick.
So we'll be hearing about that soon.
Yes.
You mentioned the Anderson County Library. They continue to sort of lead the state with a lot of stuff, and a lot of citizens use those facilities. I understand now they've added lockers so people can check out books 24/7, and some of the branches have been updated. And then in Ivo, they're moving it downtown. It's on a temporary place near downtown now. Any idea on the schedule of the library downtown in
I
Ivo?
can tell you where we are right now. We're waiting on the environmental people to finish up what they have to do, and as soon as they finish up, we're ready to go.
The old fire department.
The old fire department, but we're ready to go as soon as we have the environmental section out of the way.
And the Anderson County Museum is continuing to update and add exhibits and programs. Do you think that museum will ever outgrow the building?
Well, I think it could. We could double it in size right now. We have enough exhibits, but right now we're making do with what we have. But they rotate the exhibits in and out. We get a lot of people who come to that museum and a lot of people who like it, and we always direct people to go to that museum, and they do such a wonderful job. And they have a brand new coffee mug with the county symbol on it. And we encourage everybody to go to the Anderson County Museum store and purchase one of those beautiful mugs. And that will go to help the museum.
And it's not just, people need to look at their social media. It's not just exhibits. They have a lot of programs out there now.
Look, they
too.
have a whole lot of lecture series out there. They just did one on African American baseball back in the day. They have very interesting.
Wild hogs this week.
Wild hogs. What are you going to do about wild hogs? Okay, come to the museum. We'll tell you what to do with wild hogs. So it is a museum, but it is a living museum. It's an educational place, and it's one of the centerpieces of Anderson County.
Paws has been slammed since spring. Any updates on how things are going out there?
They're still slammed. Every shelter in the country is slammed, and we
Just
think
still from COVID, some of it? Or?
I think a lot of people adopted a lot of animals during COVID, and they shouldn't have adopted them. Maybe they should have gotten a coloring book. And so we're still slammed, and we're still continuing our efforts to spay and neuter as many animals as we can. I mean, as you know, we will give you food. If the reason you're turning in your animals because you can't feed it, we'll feed it. Because the animal shelter, Paws, receives a lot of money in donations. They are always getting major donations to assist with things like that. Any way that we can help you keep your animal, we will. They have a huge foster program that if you could just keep an animal for 3 or 4 days, because I mean, you get some animals in there, they're not cut out. No animal is, but some of them go down in health and mental real quick. So, I mean, it's a sad situation, but they do a wonderful job. And council, again, allocated money to the Humane Society of Anderson County, which is separate from PAWS, for them to continue their low-cost spay and neuter program. So we're trying to hit it on both angles.
And the dog park seems to be getting used a good bit out there.
The dog park gets used a whole lot, and if you want to go do yoga, you can go out to the dog park and do that too.
Crowds at the farmers market seem to have been the biggest I can remember. I know increased vouchers for seniors seems to have been a success. Is the farmers market big enough, or are we about to outgrow it?
Well, it's getting very, very large, but I'm glad to see it packed, and I think it being packed adds to the fun of it. And Sharon Nicomito having music down there, I think that adds to it, and bringing in those food trucks, that adds into it. So I think we're good right now, but eventually we're going to have to do something else.
When does it wrap up? When do they wrap up the summer market?
Well, when it wraps up, then they're going to almost instantly transition to the crafts market, holiday market.
And before we wrap this up, I think it'd be a good time to mention Anderson County lost a really fine man in late July. In his really full life, Tommy Siegler was an international professional wrestling champion, a builder, an engineer, a security chief at the historic courthouse for years. What will you remember most about Tommy?
Mr. Ziegler was a man's man. he was still working out with weights almost to the very end. He was a pillar of discipline. He was a wonderful father, and I know that because I talked to his children. And you won't see many more like Mr. Ziegler coming along in the world, but he was a great man.
Finally, in 92 days, the Anderson County Christmas tree on the square will have its unofficial lighting so people can enjoy it during Thanksgiving week. Any other county Christmas events that are in the planning stages?
I think we're going to have a band back again this year to extend the fun for the lighting of the Christmas tree. I know the Chamber's talking about doing their cookie crawl, and I think there's several other events that other people are doing, and we encourage that, incorporate it with the thing, and make it a whole fun time of the year.
And when will the Santa go into your office window at the historic courthouse?
He always goes in at Thanksgiving.